All right, everybody. How's everybody doing? Thank you guys for joining us today. We have an amazing guest at our Modern Agent Blueprint. We have Mr. Louie from Love After Lockup.
Oh,
And
hello.
here you are, Louie. Louie, for people who are not familiar with the TV show, Louie, please tell us who you are, where you came from. Let's start from there.
All right, so my name's Louie. I live in New Jersey, and I was on a show called Love After Lockup. Um, as you hear the term lockup in there, I actually spent 10 years of incarceration in the state of Georgia for a crime that I committed in 2012. Actually, November 29, 2012 was when I got locked up, and I was released from the Georgia Department of Corrections on November 29th, 2022. So I did 10 straight years for an armed robbery and two aggravated assaults.
Wow, that must have been 10 years, man. That's a very long time, man. A lot of things happened in 10 years. And how old were you when you were incarcerated?
I got locked up when I was 31 years old.
31. Wow. Louis, what does freedom mean to you today compared to years ago?
Wow. So, you don't really, I feel like most of us take freedom for granted, until it's taken from you. To be able to make my own decisions and choices without it kind of being hindered for me going on. Like, just a prime example, you're stuck in a room with other people and they basically tell you when you cannot eat, go outside, stuff like that. And after doing that for 10 years, the first time I walked out the gates and I was free, I knew that I had control, total control from this point forward.
Wow, that's incredible, man. Not I don't share this a lot, and I've been, had when I was younger, there was like a couple of instances where I was like detained and put in the jail cell, but I was let out, but I was like just that small period of time. It's just horrible, man. It was horrible, man. I just couldn't believe, doing 10 years, man, and that's incredible, man. And obviously with lessons like that, it's definitely has kind of brought you where you are today. Would you agree?
100%. I actually just recently had a conversation with my dad, and he was just like, "I still can't believe you did 10 years. You shouldn't have done that time." And I just have to reiterate this fact: like, prison really saved my life. I believe that if I did a short bid, I wouldn't have actually changed of the person who I used to be to who I am now. So, I mean, not many people can honestly say that who've been in my position. Um, but I think the ones who have changed and who have made it will also agree with me that prison probably saved their life as well.
Right, man. Yeah, that's definitely. I think just I'm not sure you could probably correct me if I'm wrong. Just like doing all that time, like man, I'm never doing this again. I'm never doing this again. Right.
I mean, over and over again, I said that to myself. It's just sad because you're around so many people who just don't learn.
Right.
I've met many guys who've been in and out of the prison system their entire lives, and they just don't learn. And I'm not talking guys who've done 2 year bids, 3 year bids, 5 years, guys who've done 10, 15. A couple guys have done 20-year bids, got out, and still didn't follow the laws. And guess what? Now they're back in again. So it's sad. It's sad. You really have to be
Yeah.
strong mentally, very disciplined to get through it.
Right. Louis, what was there a specific moment where you told yourself like my life changes now? Like I'm not doing going back. I'm gonna do straight and narrow.
So I would have to say there's two times. The first time was November 25th, 2017. And that was the first time that um, I actually got sober. I still was using drugs in prison. And that day was the first day of my sobriety. And when I woke up that day, something changed inside of me. And I actually was like, wow, like I'm done from this point forward. I'm going to change my life. That's
Wow.
what I did. And the second time was the day that I walked out of the gates and walked out of prison and I was free. That was a real eye opening because, again, like you have total control. I'm a big believer in you control your own destiny, you create your own reality. Um, and I learned this by taking full responsibility of my actions and not blaming others. And from that point forward, when I walked out those gates, I knew that I had to make the right decisions. I had to make the right choices to move forward. It's sad to say, but I had a lot of catching up to do. I was 41 years old when I walked out those gates.
Wow, man. Still young, man. Still young. Yeah, man. So, what do you think was the hardest part of re-entering society and starting over? What was like the hardest part, would you say?
The hardest part for me was just really trying to get, acclimated with society in itself. Lucky enough for me, my last year of prison, I was able to. I went to a transitional center where I was allowed to leave the facility I was in and go to work. I did that 5 or 6 days a week. So I was able to work and I was able to save some money. But at the same time, it was still controlled. I got up in the morning time, I left, I got on a van, I went to my job, I worked all day, got back in the van, came back to prison, strip searched, and went to sleep and did it all over again. So that was great for me, but getting out and trying to actually get a job on my own, excuse me, was difficult because unfortunately I had 10 years of probation still left after the 10 years of incarceration that I served. And a lot of these jobs say they don't go back, beyond 7 years, 10 years. But the fact that I was still on probation made my charges look current. So if you ran a background check on me, right away it comes up armed robbery, this, that, the other. So going through just going through the whole process of going on interviews, they they loved my interview. I'm a people person. I can talk. Went to like the second stage of an interview and would run a background check. My file got sent up to human resources, and then the bad news comes. I'm sorry, Louie, but and so after that point, and that happened a couple of times, I ended up just coming straight out. First interview, I'm like, hey, look, do you guys hire felons? Do you guys? Because they say you shouldn't do that, but let's cut to the chase. Let's not waste anybody's time. I need to know what's going on, and so do you. So, and a lot of these places they may hire felons, but the problem is they didn't hire violent felons. And
Hmm.
crazy, each state is different. This was in Georgia at the time, and I every job that I tried to apply for, like I wasn't getting. I worked in the restaurant industry, and that's what I was doing for a little while.
Wow, that's incredible. And sometimes, I don't know. Sometimes I think it's unfair sometimes because something that you've done in the past is going to haunt you for many, many years. And
It's
right.
yeah, no, you're correct, but
Wow.
and I look at both sides of the spectrum, right? And I hate to say this, but if you look at the majority of the people who are in my shoes or were in my shoes and they get out, I mean, it's unfortunate, but the numbers speak for themselves. And it's hard on the people who actually have changed. It definitely is. There are some of us who have changed. It's just sad that the majority of the people, you just look at the recidivism rate, how high it is, how many people who've been in the system just keep on going back. And that's where the problem occurs. And so it's difficult for some people. But I will say that the ones that actually do make it and do, their success rate is through the roof.
Really? Wow. And what kind of advice would you give that person that kind of feels stuck and kind of having the same challenges coming out of incarceration, kind of the same challenges you had? What advice would you give that person?
My advice to them is you just cannot give up. Stop worrying about what other people think. Stop listening to everybody else and go and try and find it out on your own. I mean, that's the biggest thing that I had was I was listening to other people. Oh, you can't do this. You can't do that. And, I had to find out. And that's how, hence the real estate thing. I became a realtor. At first, I didn't think that was going to be possible. I've been getting shut down everywhere else. Like, how in the world can I get my real estate license? But you just got to keep trying and you got to keep pushing. Sometimes you have to bite the bullet and get a job that you really don't want to do. But guess what? It's better to do the right thing than it is the wrong thing, you know? And a lot of guys have this ego trip. They don't want to get a job working at, you know, a restaurant or at a chain, wherever. Sometimes you just
Yeah.
have to do to get by doing it the right way.
Wow, that's incredible. And that's yeah, no, I definitely agree with that, man. How important was discipline for you for your comeback? What would you say discipline falls into your spectrum?
Discipline is like the number one rule I live by. I suffered from drug addiction, alcoholism, and once I stopped doing that, it was like I felt like I can really, literally overcome anything. And on a daily basis. Uh, you know, I like to work out. I used to go to the gym 5 or 6 days a week. Now I only go maybe like 3 to 4. I'm still working out, but it's all about that discipline. Sometimes you fall into a rut and you just got to get yourself back out of it. And that's the biggest issue I think a lot of people have is staying disciplined, staying consistent. That is so important. Every day you have to wake up and you just got to tell yourself that you can do it. You know, I mean, again, it's easier said than done. But the fact that I was able to overcome drug addiction and alcoholism, I feel like I could do anything.
Absolutely, and I think, in my opinion, I served in the Marine Corps, and discipline was like embedded in everything we did. My biggest thing, my biggest formula is discipline plus consistency equals success. Um,
Absolutely.
Plain, it's the simplest formula, but it's the hardest formula for people to follow, right?
You're absolutely correct. Both of those added together, you're going to be successful.
Right. And from all the industries you could have done, you could have maybe dived into, right? The opportunities if they were available. Why did you choose real estate?
So, you know, I'm going to be honest. Real estate wasn't even on my mind. I never even thought about it, but I had met somebody who was actually a realtor. And as you can tell, I'm a very outgoing person. I really, really will speak to anybody. And she was just basically like, hey, you know what? I think you'd be a great realtor, you know? And her mother's a realtor. And her mother said the same thing. You try to be a realtor. And I was like, there's no way. And so I did a little bit of research. I met with the broker. And he's like, listen, man, I'll support you. You know what I mean? I'll sponsor you. You go study, take the class. If you pass, we'll do what we have to do to try to get you licensed. And I said, all right, let's give it a try. And that's exactly what I did. You know, there was going to be some hurdles that I was going to have to jump over. For instance, if I didn't get my license right away, I would have to appeal it. And by appealing it, I had to do my research prior to. I couldn't listen to the outside noise because most people were like, there's no way you're going to get your real estate license. But when the broker said he would back me up, you know, that was on my side for once. You know, somebody was on my side and was like pushing me, like, just try it out, see what you can do. He had some other people that worked at his brokerage who also had some previous criminal history, different type of crimes, but still, and they were able to get their license. So it felt like a test for me. Why not try it out? And that's exactly what I did. You know, I studied my butt off for it. I test 3 times. The first 2 times I failed by 3 points, which was frustrating. The third time I took it, I passed, and I was extremely excited. The only thing is, you're supposed to get your license within 24 hours. Unfortunately, I didn't get mine right away, so I ended up having to get some letters of reference. Um, I had to write a brief biography of who I used to be, who I am now. Well, not now, but at the time, who I am now, what changes I've made, stuff along those lines. I had to submit all of my criminal history packets, all my judgments that were ever issued against me. So I had to get that. It was a process, but once I submitted everything, literally within 12 hours, I got that email and I was
Oh, wow.
a real estate license. And I couldn't believe it. Honestly, that was such a huge obstacle that I overcame. And it just felt so good that I did it myself. I did it. You know, I studied I mean, literally, I was studying real estate from the time I woke up all day long to the time I went to bed. You know, it just shows that you actually get what you want. You just have to push yourself.
Absolutely. And, to all the people out there, man, the real estate classes are not that easy, man. You definitely got to study. You got to know a couple of things, man. It's like definitely, it's not that easy,
Yeah,
right?
like I was like, man, that's a tough test. And the broker who I work for, and some of the other agents are like, to be honest with you, Louie, getting your test is going to be the easiest part about doing real estate. The
That's
hardest
true.
part's about to come, and they sure as hell weren't lying about that.
Oh yeah. And Louis, what would you say, in an industry that's, built on trust and relationship, how or has not your past kind of put a burden on that? When you're working with people who needs to trust you on their biggest purchase, biggest sale,
Right.
has any of that interfered from your past, or how have you been able to overcome that?
So, it's funny you say that because once I got my license, everybody was like, because I was on the show for a couple years. So all my social media accounts are basically like Louie Love After Lockup. Um, and once I got my real estate license, I changed it over to Louie Realtor of New Jersey. And everybody was telling me to create a separate page from that. And a part of me was going to do that. But then I was like, you know what? Like, this is who I am. And if you're going to accept me for who I am, that's what it is. And I don't know if I've ever lost. I could have. Who knows? Somebody could have been seeking me out. I mean, I'm sure when somebody's looking at a realtor, they're going to look them up, right? I'm pretty sure that's what people do. So I know right away if you ever Googled my name, the first things that come up, unfortunately, it was like my mug shot, stuff like that. And that was just a chance I was willing to take. And to be honest with you, I've met a few clients who I never mentioned it to. Okay.
Mhm.
But it was funny because I was on a buying side, and on the selling side, so I had to do a home inspection. Kind of funny
Mhm.
story. Went to do a home inspection. The homeowners had the ring. And later that day, the listing agent called me. They're like, "Hey, Louie, let me ask you a question." And I was like, "What's up?" They're like, "Show?" And I was like, "Yeah." They're like, "Oh my God." They're like, "My clients seen you on the ring," and they couldn't believe it. And so, with that being said, long story short, they actually met us at the closing table, the sellers, which was pretty cool. They wanted to
Wow.
and I had another client whose sister I met one day doing, we had to do something at the house. And she told my client, like, "Hey, you know who that is?" They had no idea. But it's funny because that person was a criminal defense attorney. The husband was. So, like, we sat down and we talked. I shared my story and stuff. And, when I talk to people and I explain my story or share my story and explain to them, they're kind of like overwhelmed, like, of the amount of time that I did and who I've become today. But that's on the positive side of the spectrum. I'm pretty sure on the other side, if somebody was to like look me up going on listing appointments, let's say, and they start doing their research, I mean, I'm pretty sure that if you start to dig deep, you're going to find who I used to be. And that might deter people away from me, but it is what it is. It's the past. I've changed,
Yeah.
and you're either going to respect it or not. It is what it is. I'm not going to let it hurt my feelings.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think I always feel like, just get me in front of that person, and I'll win the conversation. I'll build that rapport with that client, with that lead, with that seller, that buyer. Just put me in front of them, and we're gonna get it done. And then I build that trust over time, and just talking to them like a real person. I think that's just the best way of doing business. Everybody has a past, good, bad, or whatever. But I think once you start talking to that lead, to the person, to the seller, everything will straighten out, right?
I, right. I believe you. Honestly, I think you're right because that's all I want to do is just talk to them. I mean, sometimes I've been told by quite a few people, uh, a little goes a long way, and I think that sometimes I overstep my boundaries and I talk too much. You know, you need to kind of close it down a bit. So,
Right, right. And what has been kind of one of the proudest moments so far in real estate?
I mean, the proudest thing for me was just the fact that I was able to get my license, right? So that was a huge step. And then first my first sale. I'm a very emotional person. Okay. You would think going to prison. I've said this so many times. You think prison makes you harder. In my case, I feel like it softened me up because I was gone for so long and I was on so many drugs that I feel like my body and my mind was so long that once I sobered up, and I started to really appreciate life, that like my emotions opened up. And so like I remember my first couple closings, like I'm not gonna lie, Israel, like I was tearing up because like just to see the emotions on the buying side, first time home buyers, and for you to be a part of that, it just digs deep. You know, they'll forever remember you. You know, even if you were a crappy agent, which I don't think I was or am, it's still something like they're gonna always remember you. And like to be a part of that is it's just absolutely incredible.
Yeah, right. Well, yeah, no, actually the first closing I've ever had, it was a small little baby transaction for like 34,000. I was like nervous, wreck, and I just didn't know what to do. But we figured it out, but those were always the first ones that you're definitely gonna, always remember, right? How
Yes.
long you been in real estate now?
I got my license October 14th, 2024. So we're going on what, a year and a
Okay.
half.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Good for you, man. What is your biggest source of business so far? How are you getting all your leads right now?
So I'll say this, like so I got it in October. My first few months, I was lucky. I had a referral. Somebody referred me a client, and I closed that. Like I got my October. I closed in December, which is crazy, right? And then my next one was in April. So my first year, I ended up closing 7 deals my first year, and honestly, 4 of them came from open houses. Uh, People not working with agents. So doing open houses, just constantly like I do flyers, I do mailers, I talk to people all the time. I had one guy at my gym. He reached out to me one day. He was like, "Hey man, listen, shit's going on. I need to find a house." So I feel like just open houses for me so far have been where I've gotten most of my clients. I like I said, I was literally just doing mailers. Like I do my own personal mailers, right? Stamping, doing all that. Sometimes that helps. I work at a restaurant, at a pizzeria, part time, a few days a week, and I'm very grateful for this. But the owners of the pizzeria allow me to make flyers, and when I flyer the pizza boxes, so everybody around my town basically knows who I am. They know I'm an agent, and I've gotten a client from that too. They're like, "Louie, I see you hustling." He's an investor. I got your flyer on the pizza box. I got your flyer in the mail. He's like, "I'm gonna give you a try." You know what I mean? And he was one of my clients from last year that I sold him a house. Then he introduced me to one of his clients, another investor. We got a house under contract right now. Don't jinx it, knock on wood. But it's all about meeting people. And they say, you can't be a secret agent. You think that people are just going to know you're an agent, and no, because guess what? There's tons of agents out there, but you have to be the one that sticks in their mind when the time comes. That's why it's such a tough business. It's like you're doing all this work, but like you're not seeing results yet, and that's how I feel right now. We're in April. I see other agents constantly closing deals, getting listings, and here I am like what's going on, and it takes time. So you just
Yeah,
got to,
no, definitely.
that's what so many new agents quit, and like you just can't do it.
Can't do it. There's no time, there's no room for to quitting, man. One of the biggest things I always preach to newer agents is open houses work. What doesn't work is not doing nothing. You got to be prospecting at least 3 hours a day minimum, minimum. And everything you're doing, when I tell agents, like when they're always in the office, they're always prospecting, they're always doing something. It's gonna be like a snowball effect because they're rolling. They got nothing going on right now, but once everything's gonna pile up, and it's gonna be like just flooding with them.
Right.
So I always preach. You got to be consistent. You got to, especially like I love what you said. You can't be a secret agent. You just can't. You got to let
No,
everybody know.
I mean, and what's frustrating too, I'm going to tell you, I made a video about this, is like the town I live in. I mean, majority of people who I run into, they all know I'm an agent, right? And there's been multiple times just recently where I've spoken to somebody who's talking about possibly listing their home. Unfortunate things happen. A parent passed away. They're going to have to list your home. I'm in contact with them. I send the mailers out. I check the MLS, and they're freaking at their house is listed with another agent. There's an open house down the road from me. I flyer my whole street. They list with another agent. Like that gets very frustrating. But I get discouraged. You know, I'm a very positive person, and we can't let it discourage you. You got to find out why, you know, like I'm actually on a deal with somebody who I already spoke to I spoke to the owner 6 months ago, trying to get this listing. Come to find out, I checked it the other day, the MLS, it's listed. I had an investor. I could have both sided the deal, right? If I would have got the
Oh
listing.
man.
So after we were finally under contract, I called the agent up. I'm like, hey, man, how did you get this listing? Like, I want to know. You know what I mean? What is it that I'm doing wrong? What can I change about myself and what my tactics are to become a better agent? You know, I lost a listing agreement with somebody and I called the guy back. Why did you go with the other agent? Why not me? Because I want to know what I could do differently to make sure I do it right the next time.
No, absolutely. And trust me, I go through the same thing, man. I see my neighborhood and I see for sale sign right across the street from me. I'm like, you mother efforts, man. Like, how can you do this to me? You know,
Right.
I'm always suited up, always working, and you do it right in front of me. It's like, Jesus. But you know, that's just how the business is,
Right. That's what
man.
I've been told.
And social media, you know, it's very big. Obviously, you know, you're very big on social media. How has that helped your business? You know, I also see that you do a lot of health stuff. You know, exercising and promoting that. But how has all of that been helping your business or whatnot?
Well, you know, because of the television show that I was on, that really jumped my follow on all social media accounts. Now, as far as getting any business from my social media accounts, I haven't actually closed the deal yet, but I've been reached out by many people. I do try to give advice. It's all about building the momentum, right? So when the time does come, they will reach out. And again, social media is a nationwide, worldwide opportunity for you to network. Just because I'm a licensed realtor in New Jersey doesn't necessarily mean I can't help somebody in, let's say, Texas, Georgia, California, because we can work on referrals. And that's what I tell people, like, hey, if you want to find a trusted agent in another state, let me know. I can still help you. I'll get in contact. I'll reach out with a brokerage. My broker, our company has been in business for over 40 years. So he knows everybody. I call him. He tells me somebody that he may know in that area. I reach out and do that. And I can find somebody, a trusted agent. So there's ways to do that. And that's what I'm trying to do. You know, people ask me questions about mortgages. If I don't know the answer, I refer them to a lender that may know one. You know, it's all about building relationships for later on down the road. You work today for tomorrow. That's what somebody told me when I started this business. You work today for tomorrow. And what happens is sometimes you get so busy with real estate that you forget to do where it started from, right? Doing your mailers and stuff like that. Because there was a moment last year, which was blew my mind. I literally had 4 houses under contract at one time, and I couldn't do anything that I was normally doing to get there. So what happens? What happens is when you forget or you stop doing where it started from, now you're on the downhill spiral, right? So it's like now there was a moment where nothing's going on. And that's because I wasn't working today for tomorrow because I was caught up at the moment, you know? So it's all about building your business for the future.
Yeah, one of the things I always preach, and you know, I've learned this from my mentors as well. It's like you cannot stop doing money making activities, right? Those are number one things you, as a real estate agent, you must do. You must always gather ways or find ways on how to generate leads.
Right.
Without leads, with leads, it solves all your problems. You know, one of the things I like to say, you have you ever watched The Wolf of Wall Street?
A couple of times. I mean, I've seen it.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think it's a great movie. It kind of motivates me. It's like uh, he always when he's talking about pick up the phone and start dialing. If your girlfriend is doing this and this and that, pick up the phone and start dialing. And I'm very I love that scene. It just like it
It's
solves everything. Picking up the phone.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, like the turnover rate is, but you never know. You know, I they say what is it, the squeaky wheel, right? You
Yeah,
gotta squeaky wheel. Eventually, it's gonna get oiled because it's annoying. So it's like you just got to keep doing it. Like every no is a closer is every wait. What does it say? They say every no is one step closer to a yes. I follow this
correct.
Arrow. He's like a motivational speaker, and he says it all the time. And you keep on knocking because one door is going to open. You keep on knocking on those doors, one will open for you. So you just got to keep on going.
Absolutely. And what systems are you currently using to help you like generate leads, stay organized, kind of how to follow up with your clients? And be honest with me.
I think I struggle with that the most. I have what do we have this thing called KV Core, which is Bold Trail. That, but it's just like it's hard. Like I write things on really notepads, and then like if I don't put it on my phone or my to-do list, sometimes I forget about it, and I'm very bad with doing that. I'm not gonna lie, and I know I'm not the only person, but I will admit it to you guys. Like I struggle with that, and I'm not even a seasoned agent who has thousands of clients calling. Like, no, I just have I do things. I write it down, put it in my pocket. I my organization skills are not the greatest. I mean, and my desk is one to prove it to you. You know, I have stuff everywhere. I'm pretty good at inputting new clients or potential clients or new leads into my Excel spreadsheet just so I keep records of everybody. I have a bad tendency sometimes. Again, nobody's perfect, honestly. Uh, but some of the flaws I have is like I'll start something, like I'll buy a book to input leads, and then I'll do like two or three, and then I forget to do it again. And it's just like I have a tendency to do that, you know. And I know I'm not the only one because I speak to other agents I work with, and they're like, I lose so many clients because like I'll forget to follow up. They may not be ready right now. They say call back in 2 months. Do I call them back?
Right.
No, because I didn't set it up, you know. So
Yeah, no, and I hear you. Trust me, I hear it from a lot of agents too. One of the biggest advice I always give agents is whatever CRM you're using, master it because that's kind of going to take you to the next level. Because once you put in the data into the CRM, you set up reminders, and you always have to be looking at that CRM. In addition to that, not only CRM, but for me, my Google Calendar is everything. If it's not on there, it's not going to happen. Google Calendar is my life, literally. Personal, business, everything. Google Calendar, it's everything. It has to be there. If it's not gonna, if it's not there, it's not going to happen. You know, I have my assistants kind of scheduling stuff for me, and if they miss it, then it's not going to happen. So, but yeah, no,
I need an
absolutely, that's what.
assistant, AI assistants, but it's like I don't feel like I'm there yet to pay for this stuff. You got AI everything. And I see some of these agents I work with who are successful by doing it, but at the same time, it's like they've been agents for like 5, 6, 7 years. But then I look at the old school agents who don't do none of that still have notebooks like this thick with papers with their clients on it. But at the end of the day, they've been doing it for so long that they don't even have to keep up with anything because guess what? People are calling them continuously. They always have reoccurring clients or they're getting referred to from their older clients. So you just got to keep on building and building and building. It does not happen overnight. I mean, I think the biggest misconception people who are not agents, they see real estate agents who are successful, and that's who they think all agents are, right? Driving around nice cars, selling $1 million homes. But what they never saw, which is this is anything in life, they don't see what they went through to get there. So it's just like being an agent, a new agent is work 24 hours, 7 days a week. You're not on any schedule. You're on your client schedule, potential client schedule. I mean, I work multiple jobs to have a source of income. I mean, you know, I can't depend on real estate right now as my prime source of income because it's inconsistent, you know?
Hmm. Oh yeah, you just got to take everything that comes. You know, I just came from a listing right before a call. Came to a listing in the tougher side of Chicago. Listing appointment, possibly 100,000. I was like, all right, well, it is what it is. You know,
But it
and
is,
that right,
right.
it is what it is, and it's just gonna pile up. Hopefully I get them, and referrals, 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 and referrals. That's how the business works.
I
They might
mean,
have
no, go
go
ahead. I'm
ahead.
sorry.
No, no, I'm just saying, like, they might have like a family member that has a $500,000 home, a $600,000
Right,
home that they want to
exactly.
buy or sell.
You just
So
never
everything
know.
pays off.
Yeah, so that's why sometimes I'm even trying to work rentals. Rentals are tough. I'm not going to lie to you, especially where I live. Rent's up there. It's not like it used to be $1,200. Rent around where I live is like 2,000, 2,500, and then more. You know, a 3 bedroom where I live is like 25 to $3,500. Sometimes almost 4,000 for some 3 bedrooms. So that's a mortgage payment. So, back in the day, it was safe to say that you buy and then you rent because your mortgage payments were low. Now the mortgage and rent where I live is it's close. So it's like a lot of these people unfortunately aren't qualifying for rentals. That's the biggest hurdle that I've seen recently is it's not easy to get a rental right now. You have to have high credit score. Your pay has to be 3 times the rent. So if your rent's $3,000 a month, you're looking at what is that, $96,000 a year that you have to make to rent a $3,000 house, apartment, whatever. So it's not that easy,
No, and it's very challenging here in Chicago. Kind of the same criteria. I had a potential client of mine. She wanted an apartment for a home for 2,500. I'm like, okay, well, you need first month's rent, deposit. That's 5,000 already. And
Exactly.
then you're gonna have to have, they want some reserves in your account. So you gotta have at least another five. Like, might as well buy a house.
No, exactly. And that's the other thing too. It's like, yeah, I want to go rent. I want to go rent. When I first started as an agent, I was so excited that anybody called me or they were willing to do it. Like, again, not getting a pre-approval, right? I was showing homes. Yeah, sure. A couple times. Would you guys get it pre-approved? Introduce them to my lender. Hey, man, I don't know what they were thinking. Like, they can't even they have no money in the bank. They have none of this. Like, I'm like, what? I wasted my time. So I learned, now I'm just up front. Hey, you've been pre-approved? No? Well, let's get you on the phone. Let's go ahead and try, Same thing with rent. Okay, you want to look for a rental? Cool. Do you have a month and a half months deposit? Then you're going to have to pay your first month's rent. What's your credit like? Like, they're going to run a background check or tenant history background check. And you're like, are you able to do this? And like, guess what happens? I don't get a call back no more, So it's like, time is money. And some people think that they are qualified, but they're really not, You
Oh
just have
yeah, man.
to be honest with people. That's what I've learned. They're going to try to take advantage of you. You just got to be a straight shooter, That's the most
Yeah,
important. Waste nobody's time.
absolutely. I think the buyer's consultation is extremely important. Extremely important. I preach that to my team, and we have to have that buyer's consultation. We got to set the expectations right up front. We're not going to be showing properties, to wasting their time and our time. We got to
Right.
set them up for success, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so, I feel like right now in today's market, there's two types of agents, right? The agents that are nothing but social media, and that's how they get all their leads. And then, kind of, you said earlier, you got that old school agent. You don't see him nowhere on social media, and he's always like number one, number two on our association. I'm like, how the f?
Right.
And where do you think you see yourself 5, 10 years from now?
That's a funny question. It's not a funny question. It's a question that gets asked a lot. And I was telling you, I follow this guy, Eddie Pinero, and he answered this question. He was on a podcast and they were like, where do you go 5 years? And he kind of stopped and thought about it. And he was like, you know what? He didn't answer the question. He's like, I'm not going to answer that question because you're putting a cap, right? He's like, I don't know where I'm going to be in 5 years. I can give you kind of an idea where I would like to be, but like, I don't know where I'm going to be. For me, I agree with what he says, right? You don't want to put a cap on it, but I will say where I would like to be in 5 years is I would like to have reoccurring clients. I would like for people to know that when it comes to selling or buying a home, the first person that comes to their mind is me, right? That I'm a trusted agent. I'm a straight shooter. I'm very transparent. And I want to just be one of the top selling agents in my area. My first year at VRI Homes, I got Rookie of the Year, right? I did a little bit of research and I sold 10 homes my first year, and that put me in the top 20% nationwide for first and second year agents, which to me was surprising. But I want to literally say you should double your numbers. Like in 5 years, I would be happy with selling like 20 homes a year. You know what I mean? I want to own my home, so I definitely would like to own a home by then. If not, another maybe a rental. It's just the sky's the limit, and I don't want to put a cap on where I could be. One thing that's fantastic about real estate is you can grow tremendously in this industry. Um, there's people who have so many hands in it. It's, you know, they're an agent, they're an investor. You know what I mean? It's just crazy what you can do, and you have control over that. You know, and it's here's the end of this line. You need money to make money, right? So I would love to do flips at some point. I'm meeting a lot. I'm making a lot of connections with investors. Maybe partner up something just to kind of get my feet wet a little bit, to understand the industry a little bit more. But that's really where I see myself in like 5 years. I want to just start to, you know, I want to own my own home, be a top agent, and then start really looking into flips.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think flips, rentals, anything regarding real estate, man, I love, man. I just try to get myself into as much as possible, especially, the production side too, just there's so much ways of making money with real estate. Our CEO, Eddie Garcia, he says that real estate license is the right to make money. It's licensed to make so much money, it's just incredible, man. Louis, what does wealth mean to you now? Building wealth.
Wealth, wealth. Well, I'll say this. Prior to my incarceration, I lived paycheck to paycheck due to my drug addiction. I never made, you know, right decisions. I was never responsible. In my eyes, wealth doesn't necessarily have to do necessarily with money. I just want to be happy. Obviously, money's extremely important to me. I want to own my own home with my fiance. And I want to be able to just do whatever I want to do when I want to do it, and not have anyone hold me back, and I want to build a legacy for my family. I just want to prove everybody wrong. And then I just want to stand out, of somebody who overcame what most people can't. And I think this is possible. And I think that that's going to happen.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree with you, man, and I love it, Louis. You're an amazing person. I think anything's possible through discipline, consistency. You just got to put in the work, right? That's plain and simple, plain and
It is
simple, right?
discouraging at times, man. I mean, I just don't like, it's a big misconception because, I was on a television show and I'm a realtor. And people right away just assume that, like, I got a lot. I work multiple jobs. I don't even own a home right now. Like, I started literally with nothing at 41 years old, and it's going to take some time. But if I can do it, I know anybody else can. You just have to have the right mentality. You have to have the right people in your circle. Most people are going to doubt you. It's unfortunate the way our society is. They love to see people fail. And they hate
Right.
the ones who don't. This is crazy to me. But you got to just leave the outside noise there. Let it be there. Just do what you have to do, and don't give up, man.
Absolutely.
Trying.
Absolutely, Louis. And speaking of your fiance, I saw that it was her birthday, right?
Yes, yes, yes. So it's funny you say that because April 28th today is my birthday.
Oh,
Her
really?
Yeah,
Okay.
24th. I'm the 28th. So
Nice, man. That's awesome. Happy birthday to you, Louis, man.
it's actually a great birthday present, to be honest with you. This is fantastic. I feel honored to be here, to be honest with you, Israel.
Oh, thank you for the time, man. Thank you for the time. Definitely appreciate everything you're doing, man. In one word, what would you describe, if possible, your comeback story?
That's a good one. One word, let's say relentless, maybe. I think relentless is a good one. Um, I go through ups and downs, you know what I mean? But you got to be relentless in life. Discipline was the first word I really thought about. But at the end of the day, like, I think relentless will describe my comeback.
Yeah, that's amazing, man. What would you tell a brand new agent that just got his license, getting into this business? I'm sure you know that 71% of agents didn't close a deal in 2024 and
Oh, that's
2025. What would
crazy.
you tell that one agent, like, hey, This is what you got to do to close 10 your first year, close 20 your first year. What would you got to tell them?
And if you're a new agent, you just cannot give up. Everything you do has to be about real estate. Anybody you meet, you have to let them know that you're a realtor. You got to get the experience. You got to get the reps in, because it's all about repetition. And you just can't do everything that you possibly can what you feel comfortable doing. Sometimes you have to even be uncomfortable. That's actually very important. That's what you need to be. Put yourself in an uncomfortable situation and start to become comfortable with it, because like you need to stand out. What's going to differentiate you from somebody else? Let it be known that you're a realtor. Let it be known that you can sell, buy, rent, whatever it is that you want to do to help somebody else out. You just can't, don't give up. You're going to get discouraged so much, but it's okay. Don't compare yourself to other agents either. That was my biggest thing in the beginning that I was doing. I was getting very discouraged because I'm over here in the office. Next thing you know, oh, I got a listing. Oh, I got this. I just closed a deal. And here I am not getting anything, not talking to nobody. And I'm just like, is this for me? Is this what I want to do? And I'm going to be honest with you. This isn't for everybody. So you just got to be very strong-minded and don't give up. Don't do it.
Yeah, I really like what you said, that don't compare yourself to other agents, because I don't know if you know, but I have a twin brother. His name is David Dominguez, and he's been a top producer in Chicago for many, many years. And I came into business, I'm like, oh man, everybody's like, oh, are you gonna do well like your brother? Like, man, I hope so, man. you know, it, yeah, it was interesting, but so far, with guidance and stuff, I've been able to do okay now.
That's
It
good.
took a
Yeah. Like,
while.
no, but that's the thing too. Like, that's the biggest, that is, I think the hardest thing, the hardest pill to swallow is like, and my broker told me, whatever you do, don't quit your job. Like, unless if you are a person who has another source of income, maybe from your husband or wife, whatever, that can support you both for the time being, like, I get that. But if it's not, like, I would never tell. And I'm still working another job. So I am also a personal trainer. Unfortunately, just lost a client, but I was training, working at the restaurant part-time, and then doing the real estate full-time. Eventually I went down to 3 days. I was doing the restaurant during 5 days. Just don't quit, because it's an up and down battle, you know. Then once you close your first deal, like, you'll get a little taste of it, and that's what drives you even harder to keep on working. So yeah, I get it.
Right, right. No, man. And what's one habit that has changed your life, that you changed?
One habit,
Hmm.
jeez. I mean, I guess being like, I'm just trying to think. I mean, I guess a habit, just being like consistent. I mean, a habit I got, like, I like to go to the gym. So that's a habit that I picked up, right? That I love to do. But being consistent, like, if there's a habit that I do, it's just being consistent. Because I fall off too now. Again, nobody's perfect. There's moments that, like, I fall off of my consistency, and I feel it in so many ways, my production, my mentality, my mental state. Like, when I've fallen off a little bit and I'm not consistently going to the gym, or consistently doing real estate, or consistently being positive, like, I feel it, and it's a reflection of yourself onto others. I'm a very positive person, and I would have to say consistency is a great habit to really, like, indulge in.
Right. No, and I totally agree, man. And what's been one of the best advice you've ever received?
Wow. um the best advice I would have to say is to stop worrying about things you can't control. And I think so many of us do that. We worry about stuff that's out of our control, and we don't focus on what's in our control. I mean, every day we wake up, and we control which road we go down. Uh, but sometimes we allow the outside noise to control what we do. And we got to stop doing that. Stop worrying about what you can't control and worry about what you can.
I love that, man. I love that. And if someone's watching out there, kind of feeling helpless, feeling not motivated, feeling they're in a bad mindset, what would you tell them?
Oh man, so there's a lot of people. I mean, I try to do a lot of motivational messages on my Instagram, on my social media accounts, and I try to change it up. But a lot of times people get discouraged because they fail at stuff. Like they set goals that are too big. But like, if there's something that you want to do and want to really strive for, I feel like you should start small and really cherish the small wins. You know. Because you can do it. Like, stop listening to other people. You have to find it within yourself to really push through it. Because the only person that really truly matters in yourself is you, and your life is you. It's like we're our biggest critics, we're our biggest fans, and we're also our biggest enemies. We have to overcome ourselves. Like, that's the biggest challenge in life. And I know for a fact that each and every one of us can do it. Like, we can overcome ourselves, because sometimes that's our biggest obstacle. Like, we get in our own way, but we can also get out of our own way and go for the best, and go for the achieve our goals. We can achieve our goals. Just don't reach out too far.
I love that, Louis. I love everything you've been saying, and I really love that you're a very positive, motivational person. Anything else that you want the people to know about you that maybe they haven't seen on TV, something that we kind of haven't discussed here?
I mean, listen, I'll be honest with you, right? The biggest thing for me, I also have to practice what I preach. I mean, everything I talk about are struggles that I've gone through, I go through. Again, nobody's perfect. I try to talk from my experiences. There are times that I slip, there's times I fall. You know what I mean? Like, one thing about social media that we see is it's just an image, right? We don't really know what really script. And every day you deal with challenges. You just gotta overcome it, and that's it. Like, I am a very positive person, and sometimes I get down myself, but I just think about where I came from, where I was, and where I am today. And that just makes life all that much better, man. The sky's the limit. There really is no limit. You control it. We just all have to stay very positive and keep on pushing. Again, it's easier said than done, but it's in all of us. We can do it, and you can do it.
Awesome. Thank you, Lou, for that. One last question. Are we going to see you on TV anytime soon? Or it's
I
a.
for you. I wish I could tell you. I really don't know. I would love to. We would love to. It's just put it like this. I'm doing the right thing. I mean, I can just say that. We love filming. It was fun. We hope to be on there one more time. I don't know. I wish I could answer for you. I don't want to say no. I can't say yes. So it's still wide open. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we'll see you on Selling Sunset or something.
Yeah. I mean, on social media, I'm on there every day. I've literally posted every single day for the past 2 years. I'm literally going over 2 years of everyday posting. Um, Again, it's just that consistency, that repetition. You know what I mean? Like, so just can't give up.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Louis, if you have anybody looking to buy or sell in Chicago, please send them my way. And if I know anybody looking to buy or sell in New Jersey, I'm going to
Right.
send them your way. All right.
100%. Absolutely. Thank you so much. It was absolutely incredible. I really appreciate this, man. Thank you.
Thank you, Louis. Appreciate it. We'll talk soon. Okay. Thank you,
Right. Everybody have a great day.
everybody. Bye bye.